The cabin was quiet in that brittle way it gets right before panic learns how to breathe. The captain fell first, a soft, ugly sound. Then the first officer, like gravity, remembered him. Two bodies, two headsets hissing, one airplane steady only because momentum is stubborn. I stared at the open cockpit and felt my past snap shut behind my eyes. I'd been betrayed before. That's how I knew not to scream. I keyed the intercom. My voice came out calm, almost bored. Both pilots are unconscious. Is there anyone who can fly this plane? A pause, the kind that stretches like a verdict. Then a small hand rose from 14C, a girl with braids too neat for turbulence, 11 years old. She didn't smile. She didn't brag. "I can fly it," she said. Everyone else exhaled like it was a joke. I didn't. I've learned to trust the quiet ones. I met Daniel 10 years earlier in a jet bridge that smelled like coffee and ambition. He was a pilot then, confident, careful, worshipped by uniforms. He told me he loved how I never rattled. I told him I loved how he always checked his instruments twice. We built a life on procedures and promises, checklists, shared calendars, shared beds that felt like runways, safe, predictable, ours. Betrayal doesn't arrive loudly. It files a flight plan and departs on time. It was the overtime first, then the unexplained hotels, then the way he'd flinch when I touched his phone, like it burned. I noticed patterns because my job is patterns. I noticed lies because I've learned to listen to what isn't said. The evidence came as a message meant for someone else, a photo reflection in a window I recognized, a date that coincided with my mother's funeral. I didn't confront him. I cataloged him. Justice requires patience. Revenge requires silence. The girl walked into the cockpit without ceremony. She climbed into the left seat like she belonged there. Her feet didn't reach the pedals, so she adjusted with a pillow and a steadiness that made my chest ache. "My dad teaches me on a simulator," she said, eyes scanning the instruments. "I've practiced failures." Failures? I swallowed. I patched her to ATC. Her voice didn't wobble. Mine didn't either. We worked like professionals because fear is useless when altitude is a fact. As she stabilized the aircraft, my mind returned to Daniel's meticulous undoing. I gathered documents, emails, logs, expense reports that didn't match routes. I spoke to a lawyer the way I speak to pilots, clear, precise, unemotional. I waited until his promotion interview was scheduled, until the integrity review window opened like a hangar door. I didn't accuse, I submitted. Truth doesn't need volume. The turbulence hit hard, passengers screamed. The girl didn't look up. "Autopilot engaged," she said. "We'll need to descend soon." I trusted her because she trusted the math. Daniel trusted me too. That was his mistake. When the airline called him in, he assumed it was routine. When HR asked for clarification, he smiled. When the screen lit up with timelines and receipts and GPS data, his smile folded. He asked me later why I hadn't said anything. I told him I was flying. At 30,000 feet, the oxygen masks dropped. The cabin became a field of white flowers blooming in terror. I moved through it with muscle memory and a heart that beat slow and cold. The girl asked for wind data. ATC gave it. She adjusted. The plane listened. She didn't need applause. She needed quiet. So did I. Daniel lost everything that required trust. His license pending review, his reputation clipped clean, his lover, an intern, testified to protect herself. I watched from a distance, untouched. I took the house he loved because I loved it too. I took my name back because it was always mine. The confrontation came after the papers were signed. He looked smaller without wings. "You destroyed me," he said. "No," I replied. "I let gravity finish." The descent was long. The runway waited like a promise you can keep if you don't rush. The girl's hands were steady as the earth rose to meet us. When the tires kissed asphalt, the cabin erupted. People cried, people prayed, people called miracles by the wrong name. I knelt in the aisle and hugged her, careful, grateful. "You did great," I whispered. She nodded. "So did you." Afterward, in the quiet that follows survival, I confessed this to myself. Betrayal taught me restraint. Panic taught me focus. Revenge taught me timing. Justice isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It aligns the facts and lets consequences land. At 35,000 feet, with 147 lives balanced on breath and belief, I didn't break. Neither did the girl. Some people rise when systems fail. Some fall when they're exposed. I learned the difference, and I never confuse calm for weakness again.